Today we're going to be going over how to learn manual tricks easy. And of course today we're going to be practicing the Humble Warriors, the manual, and nose manual. So before we even move on to the manual pad, we're going to do some manuals on the ground. Okay, as silly as this sounds, literally the crack in the ground is probably the best place to practice. Even if you're just beginning manual and nose manual, even if you're advanced and you're still flipping into a manual trick, practicing over a cracked manual will still help too. The reason why I like using a crack though is because either way, if you want to practice just like avoiding the crack going over into a nose manual, or just even starting out your manual right there, this is just a great building block before you ollie onto something in manual. Because I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty scary just ollieing into a manual right away, but don't underestimate how small this is, it can still help you. Before we ollie into the manual, I'll show you just my little rolling manual and then I'll show you my nose wheelie. With the manual, I honestly just wait till I see the crack and I lean back. Pretty chill, right? Ain't anything too crazy right there. But when I do practice nose wheelies, I don't just roll into it and start here. I really don't like that. I feel like for me, that's not very realistic. I feel like when you do learn nose manuals, you usually ollie into it. But before we ollie into it, let's just kind of like tic-tac into it. And if you don't know what I mean, I'm talking just like this. And when you do that, you're kind of already just teaching your body and just getting used to that feeling of when you ollie into the nose wheelie, because that's really how you're going to nose manual. Brings me into another point. People will say start your manual or learn how to balance right in a crack, like get your wheels stuck in the crack and just kind of practice manualing this way. I think this is a good way to just kind of practice your balance, but this is not really too realistic when you're actually skating and doing a manual trick, because when you're doing a manual trick, you're usually rolling. So this is like chill, but also not that chill. So I feel going over it and jumping over it to manual will just benefit you in the long run. It's more realistic when you start doing manual tricks. Okay, so like right now I have my invisible manual pad from crack to crack right here. And so just like right now, I'm just gonna practice just a regular manual right now. So like I would do is just kind of go to the crack, hold it, you know, go to crack, pretty chill. But when I do a nose manual, I'm gonna make sure I lift. Yeah, we're just talking about manual and nose wheelie right now, but this honestly applies to even like, look, learning a switch nose manual, same thing. I still have to practice that same technique. So now we're gonna treat the crack as if there was a little bit of a lift and a manual pad coming up. So we're gonna ollie at the crack line and hold our manual, or you're gonna ollie into your nose wheelie. So I'll show you guys what that looks like. Okay, so we're gonna go back to our invisible manual pad right here and we're gonna ollie into our manuals. So same thing, I treat that like a normal manual pad coming up, ollie in, ollie out even if you want. If you don't even make the manual, I swear it's just good practice to do this. That this technique applies to a lot of manual tricks. You could still even treat it like you're gonna do a fakie manual, nollie nose manual, flip trick into manual. So I'll show you what that looks like. Because I kind of do this a lot when I just mess around. I'll just kind of like practice getting into things. I just missed it. Even if I'm warming up and there's nothing around, I'll just kind of like find a little space and I'll like do a little pretend manual pad, get my legs going like that. So I feel like it's pretty safe. You get an idea of what you can do into your trick, get the balance, you know. In my opinion, I think it helps me get really comfortable with tricks. Just like learning where to pop into the manual, I feel like is so important. But yeah, so that's essentially just popping over the crack in the manual. So as you can see, I'm on the side of the manual pad. This is kind of a reason why. For this technique, it kind of helps build that confidence before you go straight onto the manual. When you're going straight onto your manual, it is a little bit scary and it can be very intimidating in the beginning, just because when you pop up, there's a lot that can happen. Your back truck can hang up, your wheels can hit, just a lot of scary things can happen. For me, if I can approach it from the side, this technique definitely helps me. At a skate park, this always helps because you can approach the obstacle from either way. But what I would do is literally go from the side and then try to do a manual. So either I'd go from here and hold the manual, or I would ollie up and do the nose manual from this side. This way, there's less chance of me hanging up when I go straight on, but at least this way, I still have to make myself pop up to the obstacle. It's definitely a nice little confident booster before you hit it straight on. So I'll show you what that looks like. Not even talking about landing it, because I do this with nose wheelies all the time, so I'll just do that, and it'll just kind of help me get used to whatever I'm nose manualing. We can even do it with a manual. I mean, obviously you can go off the obstacle, but I'm just kind of showing you like Like this is like the bare minimum, the bare basics that you have to do to get onto it. You can also approach this, like I was saying, with a lot of other tricks, whether you're doing flip tricks into it, fakie into it, like there's just a lot of ways that you can approach it without making it scary and going straight on. All right, so once you get comfortable doing your manual tricks from the side, now we have to hit it straight on. So honestly, when you're alling into manual, there's really not too much of a cushion. Really the best thing you can do is just get confident alling, going a little faster and slowly progressively getting that manual further and further. But when you do a nose manual, there is a little hack that you can do. I like to call it the hang-up hack. So what the hang-up hack is, essentially you're alling into like a disaster or like a rock to fakie or whatever you want to call it, and then you're gonna pull your weight and go forward onto your nose. This is a great technique if you're trying to nose manual something for the first time, especially if it's something that's definitely higher than you normally nose manual. This way it's kind of a safe way to get up onto the obstacle and get a feeling of what that nose manual will feel like. I'm gonna show you what that looks like. And honestly, for me, I do this all the time. Even just getting up things, I just do this all the time. You can approach this very slowly. Honestly, you can just ollie onto the obstacle and just do that first. And just doing that is like the biggest step right there. So once you're in the rock right here and you pull up, that's the leverage you're gonna use for your nose manual. Sometimes you're not gonna nose manual that far, but it's definitely a good way to practice before you just ollie straight in. Here's what it's gonna look like a little bit faster. We're gonna use that motion and we're gonna hold it. You don't necessarily have to hang all the way up, but if you do, be careful because your kingpin and whatnot or whatever over here will like catch on the edge. So make sure if you are hitting your truck, you pull up kind of fast or just give it a little bit of room, you know? So yeah, here's it with a little bit more speed. So you get the idea. It definitely helps though when you're on a higher ledge, which I'll show you on after this. Yeah, this is honestly even a good way if you want to practice a switch nose manual too. It's definitely safer, I feel, than just going right into it. Here's a little switch one I would do. You know, just a little lift up like that, but then I'd progressively go a little faster and get that switch nose manual. But yeah, let's move on to a little bit bigger of a ledge so you can see what I'm saying. I think this technique honestly works even better on higher ledges. So as you can see here, like when you ollie up here, it's a nice kind of, it puts you in a nice middle kind of disaster area for you to lift up into the nose manual. So I guess my point is, the higher the ledge, the better this is. You can honestly roll very slowly up to it, stall it, and cruise. It's pretty chill if you ask me. The other tip I can leave you with to improve your manual tricks is tightening your trucks. I know that sounds silly, but just even tightening your trucks will really help the stability in your manual. I swear that's half the reason why I ride hollow kingpins now. I couldn't crank down my inverted kingpins that tight, but the hollows I can. That's even helped me improve my manual tricks. So I hope those manual tricks and tips help. Comment and let me know if you guys have any other techniques that I might have missed. And let me know what manual tricks you guys are trying to learn right now. All right, well, I mean, I guess I'm gonna practice some manual tricks too. Okay. Oh yeah, I literally held my breath that entire time. Oh! Wow, that was crazy. I'm like surprised I did that. Oh, I thought we were gonna back it up.